Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning,
Good afternoon,
everyone.
Jagdish. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Srinivas Uppaluri.
Good
He's the
afternoon,
former.
Jagdish.
Good afternoon, sir. He's the former CMO of Infosys, and he's our esteemed guest today in the 104th edition of ClariTea Chat. Sir, welcome to the session with a cup of
My
tea.
pleasure, my pleasure, my honor. I think you had very distinguished speakers earlier, and I think it is my honor to be part of this Clarity Chat today.
Sir, the feeling is mutual, sir. So, just a little bit about Mr. Srinivas. He's a leadership coach and a growth advisor. His 30 plus years of experience includes roles as a consultant, CMO, advisor, and a leadership coach. He has worked across industries and faced various business challenges. He has coached top tech leaders, understood their problems, and he has collaborated with his stakeholders to develop various business frameworks and strategies to scale up and go global without losing the values. So he has written a book, Switch Sales Transformation for Strategic Advantage. So people in the technology industry, you should look for it. And this is focused on building great enterprises. His second book is coming. It is called Unleashed. It has 7 inspiring stories of unlocking the potential of the leaders he has coached. Now, these stories inspired thematic discussions with several leaders, which are now being curated into a podcast, which is Unleashed Conversations. I've gone through all the episodes, and I must say that you will not find a more mesmerizing business and leadership focused podcast. Well, the book and the podcast are related. The book with these conversations itself will be released in an episodic way for an immersive experience. So please do follow Mr. Srinivas and watch out for his announcements as these episodes of the book start coming out. So he'll share his insights about the industry holistically, which will benefit both the IT delivery organizations as well as the CIOs. Briefly, what we will discuss is challenges for the IT companies in pursuing growth, again, coming from his experience of coaching technology companies. Growth catalyst, leveraging outside in KPIs instead of what we call as a core KPIs. Go to market strategy focused on customer outcomes, CIO's role in strategy. Again, in a digitally transforming world, how does he look at it from his experience of coaching CIOs and his own CIO coaching experiences of stepping into stakeholder shoes. So we'll usually, as usual, cover his life story, but our focus will be on the theme of the ownership of outcomes framework. Very interesting framework. Watch out for as our discussion unfolds. And of course, we'll end the session with a rapid fire round and his reverse question to me. So, for now, Mr. Srinivas, before we start talking of serious things and frameworks, let's get some energy going up. So, please tell us your funniest or the most interesting professional moment.
So one of the, I've never been a funny guy. I think I always been somebody who's probably very intense, but I do have funny times, funny moments in my life, my professional life. Somebody, a lot of people don't know from all my background that I'm an accountant by training. I did my articles from AF Ferguson. And one of those article times, I think we were just fresh out of the college, and we were always, trying to play pranks with the customers, which is probably not really happy. The senior people were never happy about it. I had to go to a cement plant, which was being a new cement plant, which was being put up in one of the parts of Andhra Pradesh, and my role was to help them capitalize all the investments made during that year. And while I was settling down, there's somebody from the corporate office accompanied me, and somebody from the customer side was handing over the files which had to go, and they looked like a whole bunch of 20, 30 files I had to go through before I could, assess how much is to be capitalized, how much is to be charged off. And then as I was having a cup of coffee with him, I just flipped through some files and I turned to him, said, "What, they seem to be 20 crores short." So, and he immediately turned to me and said, no, no, it's only 5 crores. So my entire 20 files got reduced to just 5 minutes of just bluffing with him, something like that. And this was again a prank, but I think that guy just blurted out what I was not supposed to know. And I think he made my work very easy. So, but that's long, long back. But that's a probably I always used to play that kind of pranks with them.
No, that's an interesting one. It reminds me of this movie Jindagi Na Milegi Dobara, where these guys they do the same thing. They'll just say something and the guy will tell the truth, and they called it
Tell the
Pantra.
truth. Absolutely.
This is really funny. It works in the real life.
Works in real life. Yeah.
Okay, so even though Mr. Srinivas says that he's a very intense guy, he has a funny side to it. And thanks for telling us about it.
Yeah.
So, sir, before we go forward, I just want to acknowledge my audience. I see some comments are starting to come in. Thank you, Amrinder and Satya, for sending them. Hey, guys, anybody who's out there, let us know you are there, because in the virtual studio we see each other, and the only way for us to know that you're there, we are not on LinkedIn, so we are not seeing it. So the only way for us is to see these comments that flow from LinkedIn to us. So we have CXOs, founders, IT managers, and seasoned technology leaders in our audience. All of us know that technology is necessary, but not sufficient to drive business performance. The guests on ClariTea Chat have built the bridge between the necessary and sufficient with the art of managing technologies. And ClariTea Chat then builds the bridge between their learnings and all of you who are trying to make a powerful impact with technology. So, thank you for joining us for the last 103 episodes. Today is 104th, and encouraging us with your interactions and questions. So, may I request my audience to share their names and where you're joining from in the comment box of LinkedIn or YouTube. And meanwhile, let's see who all we have here. I can see Amarinder here. Hey, Amarinder, thanks for joining from Namma Bengaluru. Mr. Srinivas is also joining us from Bangalore. And we have Satya joining us from Texas. Hey, thanks, Satya, for joining us. And
Right.
uh, I am not sure if you're still in Texas or you're in India. So, but wherever, thanks for joining us. Hey, for the rest of you, I can see Lakshmikant Deshmukh from Pune. Hey, thanks, Lakshmi, for joining us. And please keep them coming. And let's get on with picking Mr. Srinivas's brains. So, sir, please give us a quick overview of your education, career, company's roles. I'm sure you started out as a graduate trainee sometime, and then you grew up to be what you are today. And just play back your journey, your professional journey with our audience.
So again, very limited people know that my first aspirations was to be a cricketer. So I tried many
Oh,
years trying to grow up to being a sportsman. A lot of injuries, but a lot of hard work. So I think a lot of that goes into what I am today, the way it's been built up. So I grew up in Hyderabad. I used to play all the junior cricket for a long time. Grew up there, and then I think my larger family had a lot of accounting firms. So that's when I realized that maybe if I have to study, I have to go to an accounting firm. That's when I went and joined AFF. So that's where my professional life started, doing articles there. Fortunately, I cleared in the first shot, and but what it really put seeds in me is the seeds of interest in business, seeds of looking at business from top down. Like the excitement to solve problems, the excitement to. So I think I started doing my first work was I think something most of the IT guys would understand. I did an operational model for transportation area.
oh,
So
wow.
so those were the days, my article days. We did along with what we were doing, say a lot of consulting assignments. So naturally I started getting attracted to consulting. So then I drifted to PricewaterhouseCoopers. I worked in Delhi, in London, in Bombay, multiple places with them. And I worked across strategies. I worked across India entry strategies to operational strategies to even IT strategies to then operational excellence area. So got exposed to many things. I worked with both public sector, private sector, country level work. I think so. A lot of variety of exposure came during those years. So a lot of learning to look at things from top down, big picture perspective. Similar work, my Anderson days, and I think over this period of between these two, I think I've done a wide body of work. One of the works I'm doing at the moment is to document a lot of those learnings into case studies. So I work with a lot of technology companies' entry strategy into this country. I worked with a lot of banks, a lot of these things, entry strategy into this country. I worked with how technology can be used from a boardroom level, not necessarily from a how do you look at it, how do you set objectives, how do you drive it from there. So I worked across SAP, Bond, JD Edwards, Oracle, across all this, but more from there, not from a configuration or any of those perspectives. So seeing from the business side, how do you really look at it? So then I did a lot of marketing work. I did a lot of creating opportunities work in that place. So at that point in time, I think Infosys wanted somebody from consulting background to build their brand. So that's how I came into Infosys to become their brand person to build, because they want to really position themselves more strategically as a business partner with the market. So I spent 7.5, 8 years with them during their fastest growing journey of $500 million to $4.5 billion journey. That's the prime time. I think we were also disrupting the market. I think that was also the time the global delivery model had to be established as the new way of doing things. So we did a lot of mind share building during those 7.5, 8 years, really re-establishing the way things work. So I think that's where I spend time. Then I wanted to actually my goal, life goal, is to probably help transform organizations. My life goal is to spend inspiring people. So I wanted to spread out myself to work with more variety of people. So that's when I moved out, and I started working with variety of companies. I started working with variety of individuals. So I do today a lot of leadership coaching. I do a lot of advisory work on strategy, building long-term institutions for people. I've been mentoring a lot of next generation business leaders into business. I've been writing. I've been teaching. So I thought I should have a wider variety of work to do, wider issues to be challenged. So sometimes I may end up working 60 to 70 issues at the same time. So I think, yeah, that's the exciting part of my life. Now I'm a golfer. I'm no longer a cricketer. I That's the broad overview of what I'm doing. A couple of books I've written. My entire thing is what I'm really doing is now sharing whatever I know. That's why I write, I teach, I talk on podcasts. I'm building case studies, more for people to learn, more for people to get excited. This is my way of sharing of the last 30, 35 years of work.
Awesome, sir. And it was on a golf course that we met first.
That's right.
I remember. And yeah, so just to, I mean, summarize, I think you found your calling right in the right in the beginning, which is like solving problems, and then logically got into consulting. You're like a big picture guy, with top down thinking, experiences, setting up companies entry into India, getting into marketing, creating opportunity. And I really love that part, where, creating a mind share for global delivery from India.
Yeah.
Uh, and and then moving on to like continue doing the transformative work. Well, when when I came out of corporate, uh, 4 years back, 3 years back, everyone said you've got a long career ahead of you. So why? I was like, I'm like, I don't want to impact only one organization. So I want to
That's
do
right.
a variety of work. I think I
Absolutely.
find that thing common between us.
Yeah.
So, sir, let's move on to the interesting parts of our conversation, which is you run a very insightful podcast series, Unleashed Conversations.
Mhm.
So, guys, it's on Spotify. You can find it. Very, very interesting set of conversations with some big leaders, including Infosys founders and successful startup founders. So, this is all about unleashing your leadership potential. So, let's start with what are the leashes that are put on the leaders either by themselves or by the environment or the organizations or society, and how can they break it? So, what are those leashes that we talk about in Unleashed Conversations?
So I think in this, like you said, Unleashed is about 7 journeys I profiled. 7 journeys. I worked about 50, 60 leaders in the last 10 years. So I think I thought 7 journeys, which are very interesting and relevant to a lot more people, I profiled them. My earlier book also I've written in narrative format. This is also a book I'm now writing in narrative form. So actually you can immerse in the story, in the journey, in the challenges. Obviously, the background of the person and the situations have been changed just to protect their privacy and those things. These 7 journeys, I think, which have a lot of leashes I've seen, is one story is about a technology leader, and a lot of our technology leaders in India are pedigree wise very good, good education, good college, uh, brilliant capabilities to innovate, but over a period of time have reduced because the demands of process, the demands of delivering to predictability, the demands of meeting internal goals have reduced them to be more process managers. So there's a leash that's put on them. That's a sense of curiosity. So a lot of them actually, I've noticed, come mechanically and go back mechanically from office. They don't really, they're just looking at, like, one of my first questions to a lot of people I work is, why are you coming to office next week? And most of them say, I have to attend this meeting, I have to respond to this mails, I have to finish this thing. But they don't really sit back and saying, what does this mean to my customer? Where am I really contributing? I think that sense of purpose, sense of curiosity has died. And this leash is also environmentally created and partly created because by the leader himself. So I think to just be stuck around what they are doing and just be caught in the process and get things done. And this is not just IT. I think we see across industries that this is happening, where people are so inward focused. That's what to get done, the next meeting to attend, the next these things to attend. They don't have a big picture of what really they're doing. Sense of curiosity has really died. And the ability to leverage your full capabilities, innovation has really died. So that one's thing I've really seen. I worked with leaders. I think a lot of us, if you really look at in our life, have limited uh, opportunities. Therefore, I think we have always focused on competitive exams, have worked hard on getting through exams. In the process, I think never build any interest on anything. So we just cracked the exams, came to the next level, then to jobs. However, we have not spread and become an all-rounded personality. And as we grow as leaders, I think lack of that wider perspectives has also limited people to being effective. They're only very homogeneous set of people. They don't understand people from different appreciate. They're not able to inspire people from different backgrounds. So spreading life is something we feel is something very important. So a lot of our people, especially in India, I think even culturally have not spread life, and we are very homogeneous. So that's one leash I've really seen. Many of us entrepreneurs, many of us who are even senior leaders have so strong our imprint on how we do things, and therefore don't appreciate new shades, new ways of doing things. We don't evolve. My whole life has been a life of reinventing, looking at every day, looking at fresh. I don't think a lot of people are reinventing and letting go and looking at new shades of things. So unless you let go, you can't grow. And I think that's one area I really seen thing. We also culturally want titles, roles, status, and I work with people who pursue that more than pursuing the impact in the market. So actually, I encourage more people to be leaders from outside in than inside out. Are you recognized as a leader by the market, or are you recognized as a leader by inside? So we always pursue the recognition inside for a title, and in the process I don't think we don't build a trust or faith in our own capabilities. So this building faith and trust in ourselves, building more outside in perspective as leaders, I think is one more area we really talked about. I think we again have a lack of sense of purpose, lack of sense of vision. I think that's one more area. I think everybody is very mechanical about the way they go about things. So I work with leaders where I think I have to build a purpose for them. Why are they exist? What is the long term thing? So building the purpose. A lot of us, I think, are don't know 3 years from now what impact we want to leave behind. We are all just probably just going through what we are doing. So I think that's one more area of a leash I really worked on with the people to unleash themselves to have a larger picture of where they are heading towards. And the other important, I don't know if I've forgotten anything, but the other very important thing I think which is relevant to a lot of people we are talking to is how do we engage and carry multiple set of people? How do we engage conflicting views, managing stakeholders, carrying them? addressing multiple stakeholders, carrying. I think this is a true work I've done with CIOs where they struggle to carry their organization, they struggle to transfer the ownership, they struggle to actually wear the stakeholder shoes. So I think that's another area I think we really I think need to work on. So I don't know whether I covered everything, but I think these are if anything comes, I'll add later. But these are some of the things I really worked on, and this is what is all Unleashed is all about. So Unleashed is all about also these are journeys of people you can read and you can get inspired, but there are a lot of thematic issues coming. That's when I reached out to about 25 30 industry leaders, talked to them about their perspectives around this. The podcast is a curation of those things, but you will get the full version of the interviews a little later on a platform which is an LMS platform.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I captured some of them. So these leashes are being inside out, being caught in the process, and forgetting the purpose or the outcome. Uh, Homogeneity, we basically look at ourselves in a very unidimensional manner, and we don't really open up our other dimensions. I call it as a boxed-in personality,
Yeah,
where like for a number of things, people end up saying, "Not my cup of tea," right? Instead of experimenting, right?
yeah,
So what you rightly call not spreading life,
yeah.
uh, not letting go, not reinventing themselves. I really loved, this your conversation with the Infosys founders, where they said that once we let go, we have to do something. We
Yeah,
can't be like lying idle. And
yeah,
we found a new purpose in like doing social work, creating an
yeah,
impact on the society. And that was really like, oh yeah, like you close a door on yourself, and then you will open new doors on yourself. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think
and
some of the leaders also talked about that when I have a new sense of purpose, I can let go easily of this one. But
absolutely.
letting go is must. Letting go is must for us to grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other one that you talked about is like, being narrowly focused on the titles, roles, and status. A very, very important thing that Srinivas said is that evaluate yourself from the respect that you get from the outside world, and not what you are, what's your level in the organization, and like, how many people come doing jihajuri to you within the organization, right?
Mm,
And then, lacking a sense of purpose, being mechanical about what we are doing. This really reminds me of the Matrix movie, sir.
mm.
People being programmed to a certain way, and I do see a lot of it. We don't question what we are doing,
Yeah. Now,
and
what
I think
happens is like if I'm working in an organization, I have to align to the larger vision of the organization. Do I really believe? Why do I come to the office every day?
correct.
I can tell a story like when I talk to people which are who are in let's say social sector. So when I talk to youngsters who don't make money, but they are very inspired to change the farmer's life or woman's life, so they daily wake up for that purpose. Whereas a lot of people go to office saying, "How do I get my increment? Do I get recognized today? Is my work getting adequate to this thing?" So our purpose is only what do I get out of the world versus their purpose is what do I give to the world. So if you have in your own office purposes, what is the purpose of giving back to the world? How do I make the world better? How do I make my organization better? How do I make the market better? Then you're there is a spring in your foot to really change the way you do things. It's just not purpose. I should become a CEO or I should become a CIO or whatever. It's more about how do I impact the world, and that
Yeah.
sense of purpose drives you much bigger. We always attract right people that way.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think this, um, there's a nice book that I read, which I will never, which basically aligns to how I work, how I think, is the Start With Why from Simon Sinek. It is
Absolutely.
that, like, if you not only have purpose, but if you communicate it actively, that's when you really engage. The purpose becomes the magnet which aligns everyone, right?
Yeah.
Including yourself. So, and
Yeah.
and then finally, you mentioned about, again, a very, very important thing, which is sort of being an ex CIO. Part of my coaching with my fellow CIOs and all. What you mentioned is the engaging multiple and conflicting points of view. So, especially in technology, it's like, you have to, everything that you're doing, you actually have multiple organizations delivering, right? There's a
Yeah.
product organization, like SAP or Oracle, there's an SI, then there'll be like, other people, some contractors with you. your own team, your business stakeholders. So there are multiple teams, organizations, and then again, how do you engage them? And everyone brings in a selfish point of view, and how do
Yeah,
you basically manage those conflicts, and how do you engage them? No,
yeah.
this is really fantastic. Srinivas calling these out.
I'll also
Uh,
add one more thing now that you summarized it. There is one more thing I missed. I think one of the biggest things we miss is as we grow up, let's say I'm a CIO and I'm growing up, or I'm a technology leader, I'm growing up in the organization. I need to build a 360-degree perspective of the business. It's not just what I do. So, how do I look at the problems from a bigger picture? How do I engage? So, like, I must tell you a story in one of the my earlier consulting days. One of the clients I delivered a fantastic value, and I thought I'll get a good rating. But at the end of the year, when my firm took a feedback about me, they said he's a great guy, did a great transaction, delivered something for me, but we don't look forward to him because he's not really come to meet the bigger picture for me. He's only come to get his transaction well. How many of us probably on this call, how many of us always are only focused on our transaction, or are we focused on the bigger picture of things we are doing? And I think that was an early learning for me to work with customers, work with internal customers, external customers from a bigger picture perspective, not just go to them for my transaction. And I think that's a big change I really learned. So I think looking it from a bigger picture is another very important. So you have to build your brand and presence from, am I really looking at it from a bigger picture person, 360 degrees perspective?
no, that's an important one, sir.
Yeah.
Looking at a 360-degree picture. Meanwhile, there is some resonance that I find from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Satya says, "How do I make the organization better?" Beautiful way to defeat Monday blues. Absolutely, definitely. So then he also has a question on this discussion. He says, "In my honest opinion, the why changes at each career stage. How do you find your purpose at each leadership level?" Sir, over to you.
I think the why is a much more the why for you for our anybody is to probably yeah, the why, the application of the why changes. But I think if I take two examples, right? One is the why. If the a lot of times I think we get confused the how with the why. So if I really look at why from a bigger picture perspective, uh, at different stages you probably get exposed to improving the why. So I think the first way I look at is when you get a some let's say you get an opportunity in front of you today, you say how do I make this better? So let's say today you are working in my early stages of career when I am working let's say on a project as a module leader, or I'm working as a this thing. I'm looking at the very narrow way of how do I do my task, but am I having the understanding of how are the bigger impact? What is the bigger purpose of the customer? I do understand that, and then I'm saying how do I make this every day improve this better? So if I've done this better, so that my why is more to contribute to whatever area I am doing much better. But as you grow much larger in the organizations or at different stage of career, you start getting a bigger picture of where do you want to impact beyond your organization into the market, beyond the market to the consumer. So I think how do you what wakes you up is very important, that what improvements you want to see in the world. So for example, if you're all into IT world, I'm just taking a very simple example from my earlier work. I used to always never ask my team give the task plan. Give, let's say you are solving a problem of a live company. If you tell a company that this particular problem through this technology implementation will get solved 12 months later, can I go in today and saying can I improve certain percentage of the problem today? Not after 12 months. It's a live company. So if you have an attitude of what changes I can bring to whatever work is in front of me in a better way, so can I deliver an outcome so that when I go at the end of the day certain percentage stages? So when we did this kind of an approach, I'm just giving an example from one of the projects we do. We are implementing a CRM for somebody. The CRM was 27 months project. With this orientation, the team started saying, in the first 3 months, can I impact certain percentage of revenue? although the project is 27 months, in the first 3 months, can I impact certain percentage of the revenue, get a higher value of revenue under control, maybe just implement vital functionality, maybe just impact certain customers, but I'll get certain percentage of revenue, and that money is getting now reinvested back. So only with this orientation of how do I release value every day. So your why at every stage of the thing is to what value you can add. What you get exposed to is quite different.
Correct.
The opportunities in front of you, but the why is always how do I make today solve some problem. Sorry.
No, no, sir. This reminded me. In when I entered IT for the first time as a program manager for CRM. I mean, since you mentioned CRM, it brought some memories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Satya, I think you came in when I was there. So right in the beginning, we always had this like, hey, first the transaction system goes live, then we will go with analytics, right? And we knew that the real value of the system is going to come from how people are able to look at data and like drive reporting and all. But what we said, why wait till analysis? So we actually did some developments where we built sorts of horizontal download functionality for the data. And
Mm.
we actually created in our training programs to the users, we actually created one training, and it might sound funny, sir, but we had a complete module of half day on pivot table.
Mm.
Okay. It was about how whatever data you guys are entering and collecting, this is how you download it from the system, this is how you take it on Excel, and this is how you look at various ways. So imagine doing analytics training on a pivot table, right? And then
Just
later on,
my
when
go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead,
later
go
on
ahead.
when analytics came, people already had the habit of looking
Using
at
it.
data.
So
Yeah,
we actually did a slightly different thing. We looked at their customer analysis. We looked at the functionality. I'm giving this example. So let's say 60% of the revenue was coming from 20% of customers. So I said, why don't I go live for this 20% of customers with vital functionality, and therefore 60% of my revenue is ready in 3 months. And the project can now slowly drift for 27 months. Doesn't matter to me because 60% of revenue is already giving me better yields. So I
absolutely.
think when you, whatever is in front of you, you can say my why is to get best value out of it, start solving the problems today, getting different. I think the sense of purpose with you go is very different.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether
Absolutely.
I answered Satya's answer fully, but I think that's what my immediate reflections are.
Sure. So, no, thanks, Satya, for that question. Good discussion. So, there is a let me first bring in that question. There's a question from Amarinder. Let me bring it after this one. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
sir, you worked across industries. What are the key hurdles IT companies encounter when they're striving for growth, and how can they overcome these challenges effectively? Your outcomes framework is very interesting. So, tell us about that.
So I think if you look at one of the key parameters to measure the success of a IT company, especially when you're in services or any other these things, is what is the revenue per person I'm making. And the revenue per person is directly correlated to what the market thinks is the value you are providing.
Correct.
So if using that as a concept, I said then what is my outcomes framework is there are 5 levels of outcome one can use. At the lowest level, you can provide resources. At the next level, you say, you tell me whatever you want, I will deliver to this your specifications. At the lowest level, when I provide resources, my value proposition is scale, low cost, and variety, and also technically very qualified, good resources I'll provide. At the next level, which is you tell me the specifications, I'll deliver to your specifications. I will do it predictably, on time, on budget, on low cost. My value proposition is efficiency. At the third level, I think I'll give an example. I worked for some company which was doing 85% delivery on time. It says I want to improve to 95% delivery on time. It's manufacturing process. So then your solution therefore was providing solution to what goal has been set by the company. That 95% delivery on time is the goal set by them. So you have to give the solution. That means you're not only going to do technical solution, you're going to do process, people, vendor, all those changes to really deliver. So we are delivering to a goal specified by the customer. At the fourth level, you set the goal. Because you have done hundreds of such problems, you set the goal to the customer saying, you know what, it's not 95%, but it's potential to be 100% on time.
Okay.
And therefore, I think you are setting the goal to the customer. So that's the fourth level. And the fifth level, you are not only setting goals, but not only giving operational efficiency, but you are giving uh, new markets, new customers. So, a good example is when Netflix used to be in the US, it used to be a CD company delivered. You had to pick up the CDs, you had to drop it in a box. There was a whole supply chain to go back and forth. When Amazon Web Services came, it streamed the whole thing. So it gave the fourth level, it gave them an opportunity to drop the CDs and just digitally stream it, but also gave them new markets and new customers. Like now they can come to India, they can go to Europe, beyond US. So these are the five levels. So every company can choose, or every go-to market can, I call them all go-to markets. They can choose what go-to market you want. So a lot of companies are chosen. There's nothing wrong what you choose, and therefore how you run the company. At the lowest end, revenue per person will be low, and as you go higher, the revenue per person will be high. So the price points will be high as you go higher because you're taking a better outcome. So also as you go up, you have to have relationships with the CXOs. As you're offering below, you're having relationships with operations. Your ability to influence is tactical. At the lower end, your ability to influence above is strategic. Now, using this framework, one can assess where one companies are. So, a lot of Indian companies, according to me, over the last 15, 20 years, are largely between 1, 2, and 3, not fully 3 as well. IT services companies. And many of them with scale can probably manage at 2 and 3. But I feel younger companies which are coming, which are strong, have to be niche. They have to probably be 3 and 4, where I think they have to go and use their experience to do accept extraordinary outcomes with the customer. Then only they will get the openings. Then only they will be able to have the builders. But to do the next levels, you have to have the mind share of the top management, your ability to probably engage with them. So you need a different pedigree of people, different investments into knowledge management, how you run the company, how you sell. Everything is very different. So to
Absolutely.
me, I think the IT industry's got stuck there. To that extent, also, that's why I was talking. These technology leaders are more process focused. They're not innovating. Their sense of curiosity. Like I work with this person who's not very, he's not sure why a particular job comes to you. As long as it gets executed. Am I deploying 200 people? Am I deploying 500 people? That's what they're interested in, but not what extra. Is this the right solution for the customer? Can I challenge? This is also a problem with the startups. Startups build a product with the potential of being 4 or 5, but they go and deploy only technologically, saying, I'll just deploy, I won't make any changes. And this is like we mentioned Dilip in the beginning. I had conversations. We had a very fascinating conversation about G.
Mm-hmm.
How, when you, let's say, you put a solution into let's say in a medical environment, you have to change the process people for them to really put the medical equipment to use. So I think there is a need for even startups to think about what outcome do I own? Do I own just tell me whatever you want, I'll give you, although my potential is to solve your problem, or like, is it more like I will take the ownership of an outcome. So your potential is, let's say, I can improve your certain things. Can you actually take that outcome and deliver it? So I
Yeah.
think that whole framework, they have a whole management attributes around this, how to run a company based on what outcomes you use. Some of the companies enter from level 4 and go downwards. Some of the companies are trying to go up the value chain. This has been the story of the industry across.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these big fours have started from level 4, and then they see
They
that
have taken
the
downwards.
volumes are there in the level 1, 2, 3, and
One,
therefore
two, and three. Yeah.
yeah, they have gone into that. Yeah. So
So
I
at the
think
level 4, you have to create an opportunity. You can't wait for the customer to say, I have a problem.
correct.
And this is true even internally to an organization. If I'm a CIO organization, am I anticipating opportunities to improve, or am I waiting for my business heads to tell me what are the issues in my organization? So
Yeah.
am I enabling the organization, or am I giving them competitive advantage? So as a person who knows technology trends, am I reflecting, saying how these technology trends can transform my company to be competitive in the market?
Absolutely. So I think I mean, so just to kind of summarize, so Mr. Srinivas talked about these five stages of, like, value creation for the companies, and the fact that most are stuck at two or three. A lot of these actually, especially in the middle level, you're focused on the process based KPIs, capacity utilization, mostly in inside out KPIs. And I think some of the things that you mentioned in those leashes, I think those
Yeah,
leashes actually the middle management really feels a lot. There's a lot of
absolutely.
vision and strategy and intent at the top level. There's a lot of work being done on the ground at the bottom level, but these middle guys, they get tied down to these. You want to say something on
I think it's
that?
very interesting point because middle management, to me, our middle management are supposed to be the heroes.
Correct.
Today, because we are so process oriented, they are process overseers today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I call, like, all careers in companies have been put at a pyramid level. I I say that a better way to do is look it like an hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at these two variations, the middle management has to, if you want to rebuild careers, so middle management have to grow to top level where they can take multiple capabilities and apply a solution. So if I'm, for example, I'm in a CIO office, I might, if I want to be, what is the role of a CIO? He's looking at multiple technologies. He engages with multiple business units. He looks at all these technologies. He looks at all these capabilities, then looks at the business opportunity. Now I'm on top of the hourglass, where I can actually look from outside in, inside out, and say, how do I then take all these capabilities, apply it to the problem of the company, and give them a competitive advantage? So that means I have to have an ability to look at multiple things at the same time, leverage them. But if in my career I'm only going at a, pyramid level, I'm only learn to manage people, not look at a problem from a multiple dimensions. I'm become a super specialist or managing people. I'm not ability to work with multiple things and develop. So I think there is a time for relooking how careers are built.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
at different middle level, they have to start challenging the people below to raise their standards. They have to start contributing to the above to be more strategic. So I think both the levels is a middle, new middle level hero is that person for me who
Absolutely.
who
And I think,
balances.
yeah, and I think the catalyzing thought is, like, not to look at the operating KPIs and how do I, like, just, like, maintain my gross margins and revenues per employee, but it's also to, like, go out and focus on the customer challenges, adding value to the customer. And then an interesting one there also is, like, how do you manage people to deliver their best, the combination of the two, right?
In
Yeah.
fact, I think one of my guests had talked about very interesting concept, saying the internal KPI are hygiene,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Are hygiene. You have to deliver that. There is no choice, but you have to proactively manage. See, what a
Yes.
lot of the cultures in a lot of organizations is firefighting.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you can proactively manage your routine, then it releases time to do your real purpose, that is adding value to internal or external customer. If you're
absolutely.
firefighting every day, so how do you sit back and say, where is my next 3 months? Am I in control? Am I things delivering better? I think I had this very fascinating discussion with Mr. Sanjay Salonki from Hexaware about how it is important to proactively manage. So the gentleman I worked in transforming him also was to build that capabilities to sit back and saying, the next 3 quarters, am I in control today? Am I having a big picture today? How do I then manage it proactively? Not I would never be in control, but do I manage it proactively? That releases my time to really work on value add. A lot of times we want to add value to the customer, but we are so caught up in the daily firefighting that we can't add value. So I think one of the
Absolutely.
first things we have to learn is how do I set back? Because my real purpose is to add value to the customer, not get internal KPI. Internal KPI is hygiene. If you don't meet that, you're probably out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, so let me just summarize this part of the discussion, and then I go to Amrinder's
Sure,
question.
sure.
So the five stages of value, owning outcomes, don't get stuck at level 3. So the level 4, the key question is that, Are you creating opportunities or are you addressing opportunities? So at
Are
level
you
4, you
reacting
start
to
creating.
opportunities?
Yeah,
Most of the time we
exactly.
react to opportunities, not create opportunities. I think if you have a mindset of creating opportunities, how do I solve a bigger problem, internally
Correct.
or externally? How do I think ahead of the needs? I think that's when your whole engine changes. Then your entire abilities are also built from there.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that you rightly mentioned works for CIOs also. Are you reacting to the business's demand for, like, technologies, projects and all, or are you yourself in a position to go and tell them that, hey, this is where, there's a big opportunity which we can solve with technology, we can impact business KPIs, and I think then you can be at a level 4. Then I think you mentioned our middle managers should be heroes rather than just the process managers,
Yep.
and I think people should be able to look up to them for creating whatever kind of big impact, and
Yep.
not just managing the KPIs that they need to report upwards. And I think very important one, last one, to be able to do all of that, you have to get out of that firefighting mode on a daily basis, which you can do through systems and processes, and being proactive about, securing your next month, next quarter, etc. And that is what releases time for you to create that impact. I think
Absolutely.
fairly coherent one, sir. Um, so let me now bring in the question from Amrinder. So Amrinder says, what innovations, disruptions do you expect in sales and marketing practices of enterprise IT products and services? Is SaaS the most sorted space when it comes to discovery, comparison, evaluation, and adoption? So any view on that, sir? You worked with the big ones, the SAPs and BANs and all. So how do you see this market? It's a very different question. How do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see that
yeah.
market evolving?
So I think today, I think it will be always. I think earlier, if you look at a lot of houses, to me, I think this is trend started for some time back. It will be best of breed environment. I don't think there will be one companies which will stay together. So your architecture, your positioning for any company which wants to put it, looking at how best of breed environment not tied down to one provider, one vendor, one. So I think I'm always looking forward from a that perspective. I also have to have the nimbleness to probably keep adapting whatever is coming from outside, right? So that is another thing I'm really looking at. So if I really look at, I don't know from, I think AI, I think your generative AI is going to make me simplify a lot of things. Release is going to release time. So the way you put it to use, how do you adapt it? I think whether it's sales and marketing, whether it is some of the traditional, a lot of SaaS have been used for running the back offices. I think many of those back offices used to work with certain amount of capacities and all those things. So I see a lot of those things are going to be reducing manpower. And I think the manpower, when I say reducing, does not mean that the manpower is shedded, but the manpower time will be released for better purposes. So if I really look at it from that perspective, I think a lot of products which are going to come, whether it's marketing, whether it's more time spending on keeping the company competitive. That means a lot of internal people have to be reskilled. Everybody is so used to doing transactions. So if you look at any marketing or any SaaS product which came traditionally, they've been used more transaction reporting control, very little onto. So with the generative AI, I think now, I think the way the thing's going to be leveraged, they're going to release more time to be free to spend time on the right things. These things will be taken care by automation. They'll be taken care by better processes, better these things. I think I see that as a trend. Although we talked about it for a long time, I don't think companies have really put it for use. This is the time has come with the insights from generative. See, earlier, without generative AI, I did not have the kind of insights for me to really disrupt the market. With the generative AI coming in, with the kind of products coming in, I think there's going to be a lot of time demanded to use that data to really put it to use.
Yeah, yeah,
Therefore, I think you need now SaaS products will be demanded to release time for the people to spend on the right things, retrain people to spend time on the right things. So, how do I combine productivity? How do I then use insights to keep my company, my business, my markets ahead of everybody? I think that's a broader sweeping statement I will make, but I think that's the way I think products will evolve. That's the way use of the products will evolve. And that's the way probably people's time also going to change, companies' time also going to change to address more outside in than inside out.
No, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I'm like, so Amrinder, my take on this is, long back, I think 5, 6 years back, I wrote an article on the private social. Private social was all about, see, we everybody buys things out of advocacy, right? So you recommend to each other, especially when buying something expensive. uh, and with WhatsApp and all that, this social recommendation process works well in IT industry. Also, it works well, but it's a private one, right? So the vendor or the partner never has a visibility into what is being talked about them in these CIO WhatsApp groups, for example, right? And I think, somewhere my sense is that, coming attaching to again Mr. Srinivas's discussion, I see that, somewhere these things are going to percolate and teach the AI tools on what are these private discussions, what are the themes coming out of those, and they may go some way. So I think for me, whoever you are in that space, you have to make the customer happy, get on the right side of the discussions, for this entire generative AI environment to support and recommend you, and be nice to you. Okay, so
His
let me
also
know.
question was very specific to sales and marketing, because I answered the second part, SaaS and all those things. The sales and
Yeah,
marketing are going to be much more. I think it's time has come for the Web 3.0 to really work. It is going to go away from just the like likes and comments to community building.
correct.
We want people to work thematically, community build, solve things together. I think sales and marketing has to fast. We did small seeds of that during my Infosys days, but I think now social media is more likes, more reach and all those things, but it will slowly shift. I think very not slowly, very rapidly shift to community buildings. More like-minded people, more coming together, not necessarily like-minded people, but people coming together to solve, shape things to come. And I think sales and marketing should enable this shaping of things to come and community building around those things. I think that's the big shift I would see happening very fast.
Sure,
Very
sure.
content driven, very, very enriching way of engaging.
Yeah, yeah. So, so Srinivas, now coming to, let's shift our discussion to CIOs, right? So
Mhm.
you have coached the CIOs, and you have, like, brought the same outcome, framework to them. So tell us, with your interaction with CIOs, like, how do you see, where do you see the big opportunities for the CIOs to change their role, or to make shifts, which align with this rapidly transforming technological situation?
I think CIOs now will probably have to play much more I think I'm not saying they're not playing strategic role, much more strategic role. When I say, I think they are the ones probably who are also integral part of what business strategies should be. Today, with all the technologies coming, the way businesses are being run, businesses are digital, businesses are technology central. So and I think that is the big change that is going to come. That means you have to drive. So I think a lot of businesses today tell, this is my business strategy, therefore what is the IT support for it? I think now it will become, these are the technologies available, therefore what should be your IT business strategy? And I think there is, it's not one after another, but I think these are together. So I think the thinking, the opportunity, there's so much of like a digital way of doing business is coming, so much of insights being provided through all these generative AIs and all those things, so they become central to where a business is to look at from a future perspective. So for a bricks and mortar company also, these have become central now. So CI has to shift from enabling to being more driving. So I think part
Absolutely.
of every business strategy. So that means again we see the personality, the leadership style of a CIO is to also high weightage to understand business, understand markets as good as the people who probably run the operations of the business. No, it's not. I think that's a big shift. I think so when you're coaching somebody, You have to start making these people look at it from that perspective, saying, am I somebody who is good enough to, like, it's not just I know what trends are, but am I good enough on my business only? Can I understand the business I'm in and the trends in this business beyond my technology trends? And therefore, how do I marry these two? Because the people who are running the business are not so savvy with the technology trends.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
one of my biggest coaching tips for them is to start building them to be that leaders,
yeah,
aligning to
yeah.
that. That's the leading. The second thing is all these things are so how much of a CIO understands what is lights on work versus what is upgrade work versus what is transformational work. How does he divide time between all the three? How does he run the lights? So I think that's the leadership quality required, saying I'll keep the lights on, which is must, so that my present is running well. I understand from the past and I leverage that well. And I keep improving. How much I find incremental improvements on an ongoing basis. And then how much I'm keeping my business ready for the future. So I use this 2 by 2 matrix called how much of this is being helping the current operations running well, how much are you building capabilities so that that will deliver. So even all CIOs projects to me have to be now mapped to the projections of P&L. So if I'm doing certain things, which quarter will they start showing results to my top line, to my bottom line? So they are
Absolutely.
not independent cost projects, but directly aligned to the business direction and growth.
No.
So that's the change I think I should see when I'm working with the CIOs.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I know the real, you can say, credibility or the real, impact or trust that you gain from the CXOs is when you you hold everyone accountable to their results. It is not about, like, IT being accountable, but IT along with their operations, right?
Yeah.
Coming together and then delivering those business results and being accountable to. So, sir, we are just 3 minutes away. So let me skip a few things and let me go directly to our rapid fire questions. And guys out there, if anybody or if any one of you has a rapid fire question from for Mr. Srinivas, please go ahead and put it. It can be any kind of curiosity, about his personal life. I mean, personal life means, like, movies, books, etc., etc. His interests, hobbies. Maybe let me ask the first one, sir. What's your handicap?
My handicap today is bad. It's around 7 or 8, I think.
Oh wow, 7 or 8 is a very good handicap.
Not happy with it.
I play 15 and it's like an aspirational handicap for me.
I'm always aspiring to play 0.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's the dream for every golfer. Okay, sir, there is a rapid fire from Satya. He
Mhm.
says, along with Switch, is there any companion book that I can use not just for sales transformation but also leadership?
I don't remember the name of this book. This is a name. It's a book. I'll probably message it to you later. But this is a book I really loved, which this guy takes his whole expedition to Antarctica. It's a leadership book about how he led his team to Antarctica, and I think the fascinating leadership challenges of managing such extreme conditions when you're. It's almost like a driving people from that perspective. I will definitely message it across. I don't remember, but I think that's a very interesting book. Switch is all about B2B marketing and sales. It's all about how do you make the customer win and you also win. So definitely, I think that's a different perspective from a leadership. Of course, my unleashed, which is going to come again, something is you might want to really look out for.
Yeah.
It is something I'm not promoting it, but I think it's very good for you.
So Satya, purely from my point of view, I love this book, sir, Built to Last by Jim Collins.
Hmm.
So, this is about building great institutions. So they have looked at all these case studies of companies which have lasted beyond a century. And what are those, like, practices and processes and rituals that these guys have? What are those common things between them? So I really love that book. I read it
Yeah.
in 2000, and from then on, in whatever way, right from a small department to a big department, I try to follow a lot of recipes from that book. Okay, sir. So, uh, uh, so this is the rapid fire, coming from our discussion. So, what needs to be done for letting go?
I think first letting go is to have
Yeah,
and a belief that you need others to make things happen. So I think that's the first, that's a real rapid fire I can answer. I think you have to trust
absolutely,
others,
absolutely.
and I think if you need the need for others. Yeah.
Okay. So, the my next rapid fire is, sir, what are those three things that a leader should not stop doing? We looked at a lot of leashes that people have that they need to stop doing or they need to outgrow that. But what are the three things that a leader should not stop doing in his or her growth path?
I think the most important thing is I look at perseverance as very important, because I think you don't get, I think you have to really believe what you're. I think I was reading somebody who says don't have a plan B. When you have a plan B, you're already thinking about what will go wrong with this. You believe in what you're pursuing, believe it will be successful, and pursue. I think that's the most important thing. Believe in whatever you're trying to do. It will have its work, but keep believing that it'll succeed.
Sure. Okay. So, sir, my next one is, as I was hearing your podcast, I came across a new term, blue collar consulting versus white collar consulting. Please explain to us
This was
briefly.
a very fascinating discussion with Sanjay Salonki. One of the things we were looking at is how engineers, like from have grown from just delivering to somebody's blueprint to now developing blueprint. But developing blueprint for an organization, let's say for a product, was also not limited to how the product blueprint will look at, but also the blueprint of how it's going to be put to use. You have to understand the context in which, so a lot of white collar consulting was always giving the designs but not really appreciating the conditions in which it's getting used. So an example he gave is like, I can do a microwave which I can switch on from my car on the way from home to heat the food, but that's a white collar thought. But a
Consult.
blue collar thought is who puts the food in. So unless we understand the whole thing fully, you really can't do so the blue collar consult is all about understanding the practicalities of the solution. It's looking at it from putting it to use. So the way now they study is actually look at the usage cases and then work from there.
Absolutely. So, there's another rapid fire for you from Amrinder. Whom do you admire among the new young business leaders and why?
Oh, these are all tougher questions to me. I think I admire quite a lot of younger leaders. Like the one, I think many of them, I don't, I'm ready be honest, I don't come with names so much, but a lot of these I was flying other day with a young lady next to me who's got a startup to rent out equipment. What I like about all these new young leaders is their ability to have patience for the results. She's struggling to prove, but she's very patient that her results will come. That belief, that investment is what I like in many young leaders I see nowadays. They're not in a hurry. They believe in what they are doing. I think they're willing to wait for the patient. So I'm just giving an example because names, I will call somebody, I'll probably limit many less people. Many people I meet every day. So I think I just really like this perspective of the patience to really wait for the results. And I think the belief in that. That's what I talked about perseverance again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sir, maybe my last rapid fire question to you is like, we talked about like, we spend a lot of time in operational urgencies, and then you need to do important work, so you need to move away from fighting fires to getting into a predictable operations culture. So, what are the two or three things leaders can do to relieve themselves from this operational urgency mode all the time?
I think to be proactive, first of all, I think when I say proactive is have a structured way I'm looking at taking stock, not when somebody calls for a report, but taking stock proactively. A lot of leaders, I think, have to learn the anticipate upward management and then work on it beforehand. Most of them, when they go for upward, they say, "Oh, I should have thought about it." Versus, I think people every day, every end of the every day, take a stock. End of every week, take a stock. End of every month, take a stock. Reflect on your life. Take a bigger picture, saying, "Where did I wanted to start today? Where did I heading? Whatever I'm doing, is it in the right direction?" Take a stock every day, not just from business, from every aspect of it. Take a stock. I think it's gets
Absolutely.
a few minutes of sitting back. I think helps. Of course, you can also do structured reviews with your own colleagues, but I think weekly, daily, monthly, I think that taking a stock of things is very important. Not just from transaction, but are we heading the right direction? Are
Correct,
we
correct.
going to be there?
And these reflections should drive that continuous improvement and being
That's a change in the way you look at things.
yeah. So, sir, I know, sir, we are like almost about 4 or 5 minutes out of time, but
I hope
maybe
you could
one last.
cover whatever you wanted to cover. I think
Oh,
we.
absolutely, absolutely. No, I couldn't cover everything, but then, yeah, we covered the most important things. I left out the ones where there was an overlap. But maybe one last quick question from you to me. I've been asking you all the questions.
Yeah, I was talking about how CIOs have to play more strategic role, and you have been played that role. So what are the challenges of making that shift, being in
Yeah.
that role? How organization accepts you? How do you think those? What are the ways what kind of challenges you can anticipate from your experience of playing that shift and being the strategic partner to businesses?
So, sir, when I took over as the CIO, this was like, just after the financial crisis. And my sense is it was more of a stopgap at that time. I didn't know a lot of IT. I had done CRM, a large scale CRM project, but I didn't know the ERP and the infrastructure. And also, I think so there are 3 or 4 things, that I did, because for me, the first thing was to build credibility, right?
Mm,
So first thing I did was I really went hands on and I looked at the major problems out there, and I actually went about personally solving them, setting up the systems and processes to basically be preventive about those, right? So that built within 6 months, I could actually get a lot of things under control, right from firefights to contract issues to like partner issues, etc., etc. Then I think the next thing which I did was to basically get closer to the business. So a lot of departments would come to me asking for solutions, telling us their problems, and I would not give them solutions. I would say, okay, I want to visit you. Okay, so I will go
mm,
there. I'll spend a few hours into their operations. I'll develop a very, very personal first hand point of view, then come back to my team and then go back to them with a solution. It was like, I didn't come across as an expert. Came across as a learner. And that
mm,
was really appreciated by them, that, what, I'm not talking from the hip, right? So I'm actually
mm,
studying them and then understanding, and then so that was the second thing. The third thing was always, we talked about purpose and outcomes and all. I was always evaluating me and my team from a business value point of view. So I had a scorecard, which basically had business value, outcomes recorded. And I actually used to take targets from my CFO. And I used to be like, very, very upfront that, okay, you can get it audited. They never got it audited, but I said, like, please get it audited.
mm,
And a lot of that work was actually not new projects, but was to, sort of extract value out of what we had done, which was just lying out there, right?
mm, mm,
So these 3 or 4 things, being hands-on in a problem area, being connecting to the business guys, being thoughtful about being a learner of business, and not being like a just a solution provider. And third thing is like always evaluating ourselves from a business value point of view and demonstrating that to the business guys, sometimes challenging them to make changes to their processes to extract the value. I think those are things which basically earned me a place into like into their discussions or on the table, as we call it.
Absolutely. I think they started seeing you as a credible partner to that, with all the investment, the commitment you are showing to them.
Absolutely. And sir, I think that will be probably like, one of my messages to people out there, that, as a CIO, the expanse of the organization that you need to cover, you cannot know everything. So if you just go humble as a learner, actually that gets you a lot more credibility than going there with a magic hat from where you can provide solutions.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, sir, we are like at the end of our chat. Let me do a quick wrap up. We talked about, the various leashes that, that leaders put on themselves, being inside out, being homogeneous, not in reinventing, being going after titles, roles, and status, lacking a sense of purpose, etc. And then Satya asked a question about, why at a different stage, and I think Srinivas clarified that. It's actually your why from a point of view of the amount of impact that you can create keeps changing, but the basic purpose of adding value does not change. We talked about the key hurdles IT companies encounter, like the framework of being on the 5 levels, and why it is difficult to go to the fourth level. And then this is where we talked about the ownership of outcomes, the role of the middle management, etc. And then Srinivas shared his experience in coaching CIOs and how they need to put themselves in the shoes of the stakeholders, how we need to build capabilities in it proactively, and then being precise about when you're doing any projects, when do these start delivering value, and basically holding everyone accountable to those. And then we had this nice rapid fire, and we are here. Sorry, everyone. I know I do get a lot of feedback from people about not finishing on time, but these are these conversations, even though they are an hour long. I actually feel that I've been like just 20 minutes into the conversation. That's how engaging they are. But
Yeah, I didn't
thank you
realize
so
the hour.
much. But thank you so much, Srinivas sir, for being here, sharing your outcomes framework, and your very very rich experience and the various learnings from that with our audience. And thank you all our audience for attending and engaging, for asking nice questions. And thank you all of those who are watching the recorded version. I know a lot of you watch the recorded version. I know today we are competing with the Pakistan New Zealand match. I think New Zealand made 401 runs, and everyone is like curious how Pakistan is going to address that. Uh, so, but anyway, so for those of you who have given your preference to this chat, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
uh,
Thanks for being part of this.
and thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. Thank you, everyone. Please have a great weekend. On that note, see you. Bye bye. We'll come
Bye.
back 2 weeks later with our second part of the transformation, with a lot of your questions from the previous session. Till then, see you. Bye bye. And please don't forget to listen to Mr. Srinivas's podcast, Unleashed Conversations, on Spotify.
Thank you.
Till then, bye bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.